I wanted to sort of remind you of some of the things that are leading up to this point in time. And I want to share with you some of the concerns that I have about proposed legislation over the next for this next year. I expect to see some legislation presented at least in one or more states across the country about homeschooling this year, and that is based on a proposal for specific homeschool legislation that's been prepared and is out there. It's available for people to use and to craft for their own states. And there's a number of people out there that are pursuing further homeschool regulation. Specifically, they're arguing for it from the perspective of making it safe. In fact, the name of the legislation is the Make Homeschool Safe Act. So I just want to go through briefly and explain a really summary version of what this would mean. They're starting out with concerns about parents using homeschooling to hide abuse, parents using homeschooling to really shield their children from the rest of the world and keeping them isolated, because that's what's happening in the homeschool community, is that they're claiming that homeschooling is really something that's used by parents to essentially keep hidden abuse and brainwashing. And there's a concern, a stated concern, that legislatures should specifically ensure homeschooled children are safe and receive a sufficient education. And they're arguing that this is not happening and it's not possible, and that's why it's necessary for new legislation to be introduced, the Homeschool Safe Act, Make Homeschool Safe Act, so that homeschooling can function in a way that actually protects children and provides them an adequate education, because of course that's not happening right now, and we need to make sure that it is happening if we are going to allow homeschooling to take place. So there are many requirements. In fact, the basic requirement is that parents would have to get permission from the state to homeschool. And so this puts the state in the driver's seat of deciding, okay, is this parent qualified to homeschool? And there are a number of factors taken into consideration in this proposed legislation. Education level is one of them, which we know from studies that has nothing to do with the ability of parents to provide an adequate education for their children. Studies have shown that there is no comparison between the education quality of homeschool students and the education level of their parents. And then there's other requirements. If a parent doesn't meet certain categories, then they either can't homeschool their children, or they would have to follow certain further restrictions, putting them under the authority of different people in the government to be allowed to homeschool. And so this is some really dangerous new restrictions, some new proposals to really limit who could homeschool and how much flexibility they would have in taking care of their own children in their own homes. So it's a really dangerous direction for our country to be going in general. I mean, even outside of the concept of homeschooling, we don't want to see government expanded so far as to have specific controls over what's going on in individual people's houses outside of what we normally would consider to be crime. So currently, under the law in California and across the nation, there are penalties for people that commit crimes against other people. If somebody is if somebody shoots someone else and they're injured or killed, then that person gets prosecuted. And they go through various legal procedures, and they're likely to end up in jail or prison. Well, there's various levels of criminal activity that gets dealt with through various laws and various penalties. That's already something that's dealt with in our laws today. And so for somebody to come up with this new category of laws for a specific group of people that believe a certain way or make certain decisions with their life that they're going to be handled differently than everyone else, to predetermine that they're going to be penalized for basically believing what they believe and not allowed to live the way they want to live, because you're presupposing that they're going to commit crimes against people in their homes. Somebody thinks that homeschoolers are going to be more likely to commit crimes against others. So we need to actually control homeschoolers in a more rigorous way and presuppose that they're going to commit crimes at a higher rate than anyone else. So we need to treat those homeschool people differently. That's where this is coming from. And so it's really a direction of somebody saying, I disagree with this other person, so I think they should be penalized for who they are and what they believe. Sounds pretty ironic, doesn't it? But that's the case. That's the situation we're dealing with. This has not been introduced in an actual bill yet here in California, but my belief is that it's just a matter of time before we see it here and in a number of other states.